This is an ABC News special report.
Let's go straight to President Biden at the White House announced the killing of the leader of ISIS.
The United States counterterrorism operation killed al-Baghdadi. Since then, ISIS has directed terrorist operations targeting Americans, our allies and our partners, and countless civilians in the Middle East, Africa, and in South Asia. Haji Abdullah oversaw the spread of ISIS-affiliated terrorist groups around the world after savaging communities and murdering innocents. He was responsible for the recent brutal attack on a prison in northeast Syria holding ISIS fighters, which was swiftly addressed by our brave partners in the Syrian Democratic Forces. He was the driving force behind the genocide of the Yazidi people in northwestern Iraq in 2014. We all remember the gut-wrenching stories, mass slaughters that wiped out entire villages, thousands of women and young girls sold into slavery, rape used as a weapon of war. And thanks to the bravery of our troops, this horrible terrorist leader is no more. Our forces carried out the operation with their signature preparation and precision, and I directed the Department of Defense to take every precaution possible to minimize civilian casualties. Knowing that this terrorist had chosen to surround himself with families, including children, we made a choice to pursue a special forces raid at a much greater risk than to our own people, rather than targeting him with an airstrike. We made this choice to minimize civilian casualties. Our team is still compiling the report, but we do know that as our troops approach to capture the terrorist, in a final act of desperate cowardness, he, with no regard to the lives of his own family or others in the building, he chose to blow himself up, not just to the vest, but to blow up that third floor, rather than face justice for the crimes he has committed, taking several members of his family with him, just as his predecessor did. I'm grateful for the immense courage and skill and determination of our U.S. forces, who skillfully executed this incredibly challenging mission. The members of our military are the solid steel backbone of this nation, ready to fly into danger at a moment's notice to keep our country and the American people safe, as well as our allies. And I'm also grateful to the families of our service members. You served right alongside these soldiers and sailors, Marines, Special Forces, the loved ones, giving them the strength and support they need to do what they do. To our service members and their families, we're forever grateful for what you do for us, and we owe you a debt. Thank you. We're also aided by the essential partnership of the Syrian Democratic Forces. I want to commend our dedicated intelligence community, the Department of Defense, and members of our national security team throughout the government, whose meticulous and tireless work over the course of many months ensured that this mission succeeded. This operation is testament to America's reach and capability to take out terrorist threats no matter where they try to hide anywhere in the world. I'm determined to protect the American people from terrorist threats, and I'll take decisive action to protect this country. And we'll continue working with our close allies and partners, the Syrian Democratic Forces, the Iraqi security forces, including the Kurdish Peshmerga, and more than 80 members of the global coalition to keep pressure on ISIS to protect our homeland. We remain vigilant. We remain prepared. Last night's operation took a major terrorist leader off the battlefield, and it sent a strong message to terrorists around the world. We will come after you and find you. Once again, today, we continue our unceasing effort to keep the American people safe and to strengthen the security of our allies and partners around the world. I want to thank you all, and may God bless you, and may God protect our troops. I'm heading off to New York right now. I'm late, and I thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Mr. President, from ISIS eliminated, sir.
How many U.S. troops were involved, sir?
Mr. President, how many civilian casualties were
The White
there?
House announcing the killing by U.S. Special Forces of the leader of ISIS al-Qurayshi in a raid in Syria overnight. He detailed the various terrorist operations that Qurayshi, he said, was responsible for. Also said that there was no American casualties on this mission last night. I want to go to our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz. Martha, as you pointed out this morning, this was reminiscent of the raid that took out Osama bin Laden. I guess one of the big questions right now is what difference will this make in the operations of ISIS?
Well, I think one of the things we have to remember, George, and you know well, that ISIS is supposedly almost decimated, but this really does show they are still active. They still had a leader. There were many people still inspired by him, and they will remain inspired. So I think this is on a lesser scale than al-Baghdadi, who for years and years and years led that operation. But Qureshi certainly did all sorts of terrorist attacks overseas, as the president outlined there. But ISIS, it is a good lesson. You still have to keep your eyes on ISIS. They reestablished themselves in Iraq. He was in prison. Qureshi was in prison in Iraq. He got out after the U.S. troops left, and this is what happened. So they will surely try to find another leader to replace him. He will become a martyr in their eyes. So this is something really to pay attention to. And in the last month, also, as you know, George, ISIS tried to free thousands of jihadists in Syria from a prison, and there was a major battle that took place. But as for this raid, very much like the bin Laden raid, you had those special forces going in there, and it is much more dangerous to do a raid like that face to face with the enemy. But they were trying to protect civilians, but apparently he was not.
Martha Raddatz, thanks very much. Our senior White House correspondent Mary Bruce. Mary, the president gave this order personally. This is a mission he's been tracking for some time.
Yeah, George, we are told that he has been tracking this for months. Biden personally making the order Tuesday morning in the Oval Office, and then, of course, monitoring this raid overnight in the Situation Room. We have seen that photo of the president there alongside the vice president, getting real-time updates from the defense secretary and chief of staff, Mark Milley. And we are told it was incredibly tense in that Situation Room, in part, large part, due to concerns over civilians and civilian casualties. You heard the president there saying that they decided to raid the building instead of doing a drone strike to try and prevent these civilian casualties, because, of course, Qureshi, as the White House has described to us, was using civilians, including his own family, as human shields. But what could not have been prevented, of course, was Qureshi's own actions, detonating a bomb, blowing up his own family, causing those civilian casualties. The White House saying it just underscores the barbarity of ISIS, but also making it clear that the White House feels that this will lead to a significant disruption in ISIS's capabilities, because he was one of the few remaining legacy leaders. George.
That is certainly the hope for everyone. And Mary, as the president was saying, he's now heading up to New York City to address crime.
The president is making his way to New York City. He will be meeting with the governor of New York, the new mayor of New York City, trying to reinvigorate his calls to address gun violence and crime, as we have seen a real uptick in violence in major cities. Of course, it comes just 2 weeks after New York City police officers were fatally shot. The president trying to take some unilateral action here while also pressuring Congress to do more. Security at home and abroad. Mary Bruce, thanks very much. On the president's agenda today, we're going to return now to our regular programming again. President Biden has announced this morning that the leader of ISIS, al-Qurayshi, has been killed in a U.S. Special Forces raid in Syria overnight. You can follow our news all day long on the ABC News app. Have a good day.
This has been a special report from ABC News.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.